That's what I'm thinking. Okay, what's up?
Okay, we're in the middle of 1964 now at Ramona, San Diego Raceway, July the 25th, and there's 6 fuelers there, and with the winner of the special match race for the number 3 spot given the option to go against the last of the qualifiers. So here's the way the action broke down. Skinner and Job, the world's quickest surfboard, made 3 real strong runs to qualify with a low AT of 8:06, 181.45. And now, what some people don't understand that haven't been around drag racing in a long time, qualifying then wasn't like now. When you got your car ready, you just went up there, and when they fit you in, you made a run, and they wrote it down, and that's how you qualified. It wasn't, well, we're qualifying at 1 o'clock and at 3 o'clock and at 9 o'clock and all that. You just went up there. So you could make 3 runs to qualify. You might make 5 runs to qualify instead of 1 or 2. And this is really good, 8:06, because the ground shakers are there with an 861, A&W Root Beer with an 861, Adrian's Appliance with an 864. So you guys are just there. Crusher Baltus and the Croziers, Crozier Baltus and Lovato at 791. Now, he was the local boy, and he knew the weather. But you were 8:06. You weren't off the mark. And the first round of top brought the Surfers against the A&W Root Beer Hemi Ford. And what will stand as the upset of the meet, Walt Stevens shot down the Skinner and Job machine to take the round with an 8:35, 182 to Mike Sorokin's 8:28, 186. That surfboard really runs, but Stevens had the right amount of root beer in the Ford this round. Now, Mike was really fast and really quick, but he wasn't on his game.
He wasn't quick enough.
Wasn't quite enough, and that's rare that he got left on. That's really rare that he got left on.
And the deal, making 3 qualifying runs, is that what it says?
Yeah, it said made 3 runs at 8:06.
I don't remember ever doing that. But we must have had some wonderful thing to try.
Something you were trying to
I don't know.
see what happens.
I hope it was wonderful.
Next up.
Okay, the next day, is that July 25th?
Yeah.
So July 26th. Now you're racing 2 days a week.
So these guys went from Santa Monica. They drove down to Ramona.
All the way to Ramona.
All the way to Ramona. They raced. Then they drove all the way back to the Red Apple.
No freeway.
Yeah.
No freeway.
The freeway
PCH.
ended at Pacific Avenue in Long Beach.
Right. They drive all the way back to the Red Apple. They maintain the car. Then they go back out the next
San
day
Fernando
to
the
San
next day.
Fernando. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So now was the big top fuel threat of the day. Mike Sorokin and the Skinner and Job's The Surfers, Chrysler, and the red-haired one stormed but good 805 and 186 to show he was ready. This machine is the model of consistency. Now the first round found Sorokin facing Babler, and again Mike steamed his way through at 804. So he ran 806 in Ramona and 804 at San Fernando. So you repeated in a whole different climate, because that's much different out there in the valley. And now for the biggie, Sorokin against Pedregon for all the Washingtons. Sorokin continued his run by consistency by clocking his slowest of the day, 807, to take over the loser's hardworking 844. To a hardworking crew, congrats. See you next week. So you went down there and raced, and you came back to San Fernando and won, and ran consistently, which is the most important.
That was very typical. We could do that. It would always repeat very well because it was very logical.
So you would you have a baseline tune for a strip like Ramona and then a baseline tune for San Fernando? It was just all the same at this point.
We weren't that
You were,
fast.
okay.
No night motor.
No computer? No computer?
No computer.
Wow.
No
Okay.
night motor.
Wow. Got it.
We want to make more power.
Got
Forget
it.
that. The track's so
What-
slimy.
Yep. What's next?
The
But those are-
world.
Both good track. I mean, good tracks. Of course, none of the tracks were prepared, right?
Right.
I mean, all I did was kicked off the broken parts off from the previous blowout.
Right.
Right.
Told you the driver to drive around that shiny spot.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the sand that just blew across there.
And that's where your driver would come through in a big way. And Mike was very good at what he did.
And understand that throttle, because if you look at those photos, you look at any videos from those days where they're leaving the starting line, they're not wide open. the throttles half throttle, 3/4, quarter, whatever, because they were constantly moving the throttle to keep from blowing the tires off. But because if you went too much, it slowed down. You backed out too much, it'd start to hook up, which sounds like a good thing, except then it would bog the motor down. So to keep it up in the power range, those guys were good. They're really, you could tell the drivers from the drivers, if that made sense.
The riders.
From the guys that got a ride.
Right.
You could tell the drivers. They knew how to
And they
feel
worked the brake too.
and work the brake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brake was important.
Plus paying attention to where they were going.
Yep.
And they couldn't see. They had to look around the blower. So the world changed on August 8th, 1964.
Why?
Zoomy headers. Cannon makes 3 runs over 200 miles an hour. The previous week, he made 3 runs at 199. But he ran 3 runs at Long Beach over 200. And from then on,
We see the candles
everybody
turned up.
tipped
Yep.
them up.
Right.
So what did Skinner, it says Skinner, Crosser, and Job. Jimmy didn't come back. This is just the writer.
I hope so.
The
Probably
writer remembered
Who
who he
wrote
used
it,
to be.
Ralph?
Doesn't say. Probably Ralph. So Skinner, Crosser, and Job at 796, 187, 88, low ET of the day. So you were in the 7s and
Rare for us.
ahead of everybody and at Long Beach.
On the same day that Cannon ran 200.
You had low ET and he had top speed.
Well, I
You
couldn't
ran-
believe his top speed. I'll tell you that. Boy, it was. I mean, there was no arguing it.
No, it was. I was there.
It-
I was in the
it-
stands. You knew he ran 200 miles an hour.
There
There was no doubt.
Other 200-mile-an-hour runs that had happened before were highly questionable,
Uh-huh.
but there was
Yeah.
no question about this.
Also at the same race, Don Moody crashed.
Yeah.
The Heim joint came apart in the steering, and he hit the fence and tore the place up. And so they were down for about an hour. Action resuming with Warren Coburn and Holloway, one of their other partners, taking win over Skinner, Crosser, and Job, as the latter
Again.
matched reactions
Ridge Route
with the
switch.
porcupine and red lighted.
I see a
Mike
pained.
red lighted.
There's a pained look on your face.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Warren
Jimmy
Coleman
Cross.
just beat us up.
They-
It
Well, and Mike tried to beat him, but he red lighted
Very good.
because he knew it was going to be bad.
was going to be bad. Low ET and all.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that deal where Don Moody crashes,
Yes.
that was that beautiful Moody Zuschel car that had a bat wing kind of
Yes.
deal.
That's right. That's the car that was crashed. Okay.
Right, and it was Ivo tells a good story about how there was a second set of skins made for that body
Right.
style,
Mhm.
and that Wayne Ewing had them, and he bought them, and that ended up being the gold. Was it? Gold
It was
Yeah,
kind
the-
of a lime green kind of car. Yeah.
Kind of.
Hey, what did he call that?
Don't build a green car.
Bonfire Gold. That's
No,
what it was.
that was Moody.
Yeah.
No, but on Ivo, he
Oh, yeah,
doesn't
he-
use the word green.
No, he
calls it-
doesn't. He calls it something else, but
to
it,
avoid using the word green.
Right,
Right.
because green was unlucky.
I'll put it on the
a
bottom
race
of the
car.
screen.
Right.
I will. Don't worry.
But anyway, it was that car that had the first body with that beautiful wing kind of tail
Right.
section.
Yeah.
And we had just finished probably our qualifying run, let's say,
hmm
and we're at the other end of the track, and we go down and gather it all up and put it in front of the push car. We're pushing back, and it was the end of qualifying when Moody crashes, and so there was maybe a couple pairs of cars left to come down. So we pulled over right at the finish line. We thought, well, let's watch the last bit of qualifying because we didn't have any drama to deal with
Right.
back in the pits. So Mike and Bob Skinner and I were just hanging on the fence, right on the fence. Here comes Moody, and he made it was a straight line from where he left the starting line to where he hit the fence, in my opinion. It just came, he's coming and coming and coming and coming right towards us. And at some point, all three of us independently left. And I ran across the return road, and there was a little ditch, and I went face down in this ditch. And I looked around; they were face down in the ditch
Wow.
too. And Moody hit the fence right where we were standing.
Oh.
Oh man.
And I remember I counted to 10 sort of fast. It was was a big boom, and then it kind of got quiet, and I'm counting, and then I get up and I look down, and there's a sea of trash, broken car parts in the air,
Oh wow.
and it's going horizontal to the ground, and there's a lot of air between this sea of trash,
Yes.
and I stood up, and I heard this plop, and one of these flamenco boots that a lot of those guys would wear, it had a zipper on the
Oh,
side.
right.
Remember those kind
Yeah.
of boots, sort of a tall top.
Yeah.
One of them just went plop and landed right next to me, and I picked it up, and I knew that's what Moody wore.
That's what he wore. Yeah.
Right.
Oh
I went
yeah.
over and I put it upside down on one of the posts of the chain link fence.
Yeah.
I thought he's not going to need this anymore.
Right.
And my nature is, if you're going to have an accident, don't have me around, because I freeze when anything happens. I just,
Right.
and
Sure.
so I'm just standing there. Bob Skinner takes off in a dead run towards where all
The
this
pile of trash.
where the trash is headed.
Right.
And they get down there, and here's Moody strapped into the cage. His feet are hanging out in the breeze. And he's really beat up, but
Yeah.
he's hardly hurt.
And that's when the end sign used to be at the quarter mile. It said end,
Right.
that they later moved to the end of the drag strip,
Yeah.
and he hit the end sign.
Yeah.
Probably.
He did. He hit the end sign because that was my first crash that I saw. Because I told you I was there. I was sitting in the stands, and I saw that he hit the end sign, and I remember the cage tumbling and to a stop, and then he gets out. He unbuckles and gets out,
Yeah.
and it's just the cage. There's nothing, just the cage.
In the
And
seat.
he gets out in the seat, and he's fine.
And who built that frame?
That's Fuller.
Kent Fuller.
Yeah.
Beautiful car. Just a beautiful
Yeah.
car.
And,
Never
yeah.
got painted. Never got finished to the extent that it got painted.
No,
Right.
never had a paint. Never had paint on it.
Zuccio motor.
Yeah.
Because I
Zuccio.
asked Darielle, his daughter, if they ever painted it, and she asked him. He lives in
No,
Taiwan or
Thailand, I think.
Thailand,
no, it was bare
and he
metal
said
when
it
it
never
crashed.
got painted.
No,
Yeah.
it was bare metal the day it crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, so at the time, Don Moody worked for Engel Cans, and he was kind of the office manager, front end guy that you would talk to, or
Yeah.
customer might talk to.
yeah.
And he was back to work in just maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
But he was black and blue from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet.
Yeah.